Someone asked me, when was Japa not great? We're not saying Japa's not great. We're saying that we're constantly trying to make our Japa great. You want to move closer? So today, I just have a short introduction, which is helpful in chanting Japa. And first I'm going to read from the fourth canto, short verse and purport, from fourth canto, 28th chapter, verse 54. And in this verse, we have a scenario as follows. This is the description of an interaction between the Lord and the heart and the living entity. And this is a meditation in Japa and in general that Kṛṣṇa mentions in the Bhagavad Gita. In Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridaya Sharadana Chistati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantaram Rudrani Mayaya and Sarvasya Chaham Hridisani Vishto, etc. In the Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa mentions how I travel with you, the living entity, in your heart constantly. Here's a poetical section in which the Supersoul is speaking to the soul within the heart. He's always speaking, but what is my receptivity? That is the question. As follows. My dear, gentle friend, both you and I are exactly like two swans. We live together in the same heart, which is just like the Manasa lake. Although we have been living together for many thousands of years, we are still far away from our original home. Purport. The original home of the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, both the Lord and the living entities live together very peacefully. Since the living entity remains engaged in the service of the Lord, they both share a blissful life in the spiritual world. However, when the living entity wants to enjoy himself, he falls down into the material world. Even while he is in that position, the Lord remains with him as the Supersoul, his intimate friend. Because of his forgetfulness, the living entity does not know that the Supreme Lord is accompanying him as the Supersoul. In this way, the living entity remains conditioned in each and every millennium. Although the Lord follows him as a friend, the living entity, because of forgetful material existence, does not recognize him. This is a painful situation for the Lord and for the living entity. When there's ignorance means ignorance. So Japa is a perfect opportunity to turn one's attention, turn our attention to our friend, the Supreme Lord, who's there with us in the heart. And there is reciprocation in that. And now I'll read together, we can read together one of the ways to prepare for doing worship of the Lord, including Japa, which is the Bhuta Shuddhi. And in this, we just do an alignment and remember that we're not our bodies. We can read together. I think it needs to, yeah, okay. Maybe it still doesn't fit. There, perfect, thank you. Together, shall we? I am by nature the eternal servant of Kṛṣṇa, but by misfortune, due to being inimical towards him since time immemorial, I have been wandering within the cycle of birth and death in the material world, being burnt by the threefold miseries. Now, as a result of some unimaginable good fortune, by the mercy of my spiritual master, I know that I am an infinitesimal living being, completely apart from the gross and subtle body. Now, by the order of my spiritual master, I have obtained the good fortune of serving his lotus feet as well as the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan. And then on the right, a verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu liked very much from the Madhya Lila. Together, Naham Bipro Nacha Narapatir Napi Vaisho Nashudro Naham Barni Nacha Gripatir Novanaso Yatirva Kintu Prodyan Nikila Paramananda Purnamritabdir Gopi Bartu Padakamalyor Dasanu Dasaha. I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya or Shudra, nor am I a brahmachari, a householder, a vanaprastha, or a sannyasi. I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, the maintainer of the gopis. He is like an ocean of nectar, and he is the cause of universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with brilliance. And just take a moment, if you want to close your eyes and just take 30 seconds to set your purpose for chanting, considering the Lord's in the heart. You're not your body. We're eternal souls, and you're going to be chanting the Lord's name in which He's fully present. Set your intention. For instance, please engage me in your service. Please give me instruction so I can follow you properly, etc. And then we'll commence. Now feeling purposeful, we'll chant the gateway mantra to the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the Panchatattva mantra together. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for being such stalwarts and joining the Japa circle. And just recalling how we started, that Krishna has an intention. He's a person. He's there within our hearts. And his intention for us in the material world is one thing, just to turn our attention back to Him. And I was considering how powerful Krishna's intention is. Any one of us, we're free to give ourselves to anything in this world. And whenever we judge someone, we judge according to we try to understand what their intention is. But it's the powerful force of the living entity. But just imagine how powerful is the intention of Krishna. And if we can align with that, with His intention, then we've attained the connection we're looking for, rather than having some independent idea about what to do or how to be happy. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, if you so desire, please give us the sincere earnestness to align with your intention for us here in this world. Thank you for considering our requests. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpadurishya kripasinave vichapatitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo